Good evening, good evening, good evening. So nice to see so many of you. I think there are a few more people who are still joining. I hope you have finished the assessment. If you have not done the assessment, maybe I'll give you a few minutes. Maybe you can finish off the assessment. It's a nice assessment to really talk about, think about um, what you're thinking of, what your future is. I see some of you have already finished it. But if you have not finished the assessment, maybe you can take this time and finish the assessment. Yeah, if you're not part of that group, Jonathan has put the assessment link there. You can just click the link, and some very long assessments are there. So maybe some of it you can take time to just get that done. If some of you can keep your videos on, we would love to see your faces. Um, would love to see your faces. Yes, Sylvia. Yeah. Thank you, Sylvia. Urmila, thank you. Yeah. Change your names. Maybe some of your names are Xiaomi. I think that's a phone model, I think. So if you can change some of the names. Anita, thank you. Keeping Balaji, thank you. Balaji, all the way from Meghalaya. Oh, nice. Yeah. If you can change your names, rename, yeah, it'll be great. If you can just tell your name and where are you from, it'll be good. So you can just say, like if I say it, I can just say, if I rename George and Manju, Bangalore. Yes. Yeah. Sudarshan, nice to see you, Sudarshan. Nikhil, nice to see you. Beulah, nice to see you. Yeah. So just put your first name and then tell where are you from. It'll be really nice. Julie, nice to see you, Julie. Yeah. Rename yourself. Rename yourself. Yeah. Oh, Sylvia is from Lucknow. Oh, great. Yeah. Karunya is from Delhi. Welcome, welcome. Great, great, great. Yeah, Sudarshan Paul from Dubai. Okay. Oh, you guys are putting it in the chat. You can actually rename yourself. You rename, you can just say Grace slash Lucknow. If you rename, you can say Hepzibah slash Bangalore or Zivia slash Bangalore. Just rename yourself, your name on the profile itself. Yes, yes, that'll be good. Yeah. Yeah, just say, Hemu slash Bangalore. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Great, great. Great. Okay. So we've reached 100. Yes. So we're going to have two sessions. The first session, and then we'll give a small break, and then we'll do the second session. So just a 10 minutes break. That's all we will give in between, just for our restroom break. And towards the end of both the sessions, we will give some time for questions. So please shoot your questions. There are some facilitators who are there, people who are monitoring. They will pick up all those questions and send it to us so that we can, answer some of those questions. Yeah, we'll all be there in that place. Yeah. Um, Now, why did this session come about? This session came about where, especially in the last 4 5 years, George Uncle have been counseling a lot of teenagers, young people, and I see so many divorces, and I see so many separations, so many families breaking down. That's where this thought came in, and we said, okay, we should do this session where at least to say some things where you can prepare yourself for marriage. I'll tell you what the Western perspective is. The Western perspective is by the time they're 15, 16, 16, is a time where they would always start encouraging and start asking young people to look around to see whom you can date, what can happen, and things like that. Now, in an Indian context, 16 is a little too early, so because of our culture of all those places. So I always tell young people saying, wait at least till you're 19. Wait at least till you're 19, 20. You kind of get to that place and then you can even start thinking about it, right? So we'll put in some of those principles and see how you can, relate to some of those principles, how we can move forward and all of that, right? So let's just start. Yeah. Well, the first things that we just want to, be in that place to share and say, hey, uh, this is one of the first principles, the first big idea is this. The first big idea. And the first big idea is that don't merely look for the right person, especially when it comes to marriage. Become the right person. Don't just look for the right person, but you become the right person. So you become a person who is prepared to love faithfully. So it's not me looking for the right person, but me becoming a right person. Many times we focused on, I want a girl like this, I want a guy like this, right? We begin to so much focused on that. It's not we looking for the right person. That's the first big idea. I becoming the right person. So some of the things that you're thinking of saying, I want a person like this, I want a guy like this, I want a girl like this. But the question that I would immediately turn around and ask, am I becoming that kind of a person? When I'm expecting somebody else to become, then am I becoming that kind of a person, right? That's the place. So what I want to do right now first is list some of your core values or inner characteristics you want to see in your spouse first. Can you take about 3 4 minutes and just write down right now? Just write down what kind of a person do you would like to see. What are some of the core values you want to see? Say, I want somebody who's very gentle, or maybe some of you are saying, no, I want somebody who's very, very outgoing and honest, and I want somebody who is very joyful. I had not a core value, but a characteristics, an inner characteristics that I had was I want somebody who was godly. So write down, can you write down what are some of, the core values you want to see in that person? What are some of the inner characteristics you want to see in your spouse? You want to write down, type it down, however you want to do it. Yeah. I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah. Because what you're writing down, this is what, if you have not even thought about it, that's okay. At least take time to think, maybe not now immediately, maybe take time to think about that a little later. But you have to start thinking like that. So when you start putting down some of those things, then you can say, hey, I'm putting down these are the kind of people, but just turn around and see, okay, am I that kind of a person? Am I becoming that kind of a person? That you begin to really ask and see, am I becoming that kind of a boy? Am I becoming that kind of a girl? Great. Um, there's a difference between a contract and a covenant. A marriage contract is very different. A covenant is very different. A contract says, I will stay as long as you fulfill my needs. That's what a contract is. A covenant says, before God, I commit myself to seek your good faithfully, to seek your good. I'll tell you, one of the most amazing wisdom that I got from one of my mentor is saying, hey, in marriage, learn to lay your life down for the other person. Lay your life down for the other person. Sometimes it's very difficult, right? Because of our own egos, because of like, how can she talk to me like this? How can he talk to me like this? Does he know who I am? You doesn't know where I'm from. We become a little bit caught up, right? So marriage is God's design for companionship, partnership, mutual service, sexual faithfulness, family life, and reflecting Christ like love. That's what marriage is about. It's a combination of so many different things. It's companionship. Companionship is like you're able to spend time and enjoy each other, right? As I'm saying, Manju aunty is nodding the head, right? So we kind of have companionship. We enjoy each other, right? And partnership. There is a vision that the Lord has led me to. She partners with me. That's a mutual service. We together begin to serve. That's sexual faithfulness and how we are connected to each other. Family life and reflecting Christ like love. So that's exactly what marriage is. Marriage is God's design for companionship, partnership, mutual service, sexual faithfulness, family life, and reflecting God's love, right? Now, it leads us to a very important question for self reflection, right? Answer these questions, just think about it. Spiritual life. Is Christ truly first in my life? Do I have a personal prayer life? My biblical values, accountability? Ask this question. I'm not going to ask you to answer the question, but ask these questions, right? Is Christ truly first in my life? Another good question to ask is the character. Am I honest, humble, teachable, responsible, willing to apologize? I mean, that's a very big thing in marriage. Willing to apologize, willing to say sorry. Am I honest? Am I humble? Am I teachable? That's another very big thing inside marriage. Am I responsible? Oh, that's another very big thing. Am I responsible? Am I able to go beyond myself to be responsible? Right? The whole place of character. Am I honest, humble, teachable, responsible, willing to apologize? Then you see emotional maturity. Can I manage anger? We always say this, getting angry is not sin. But what we do when we get angry is what we need to be careful about. So can I manage anger? Can I manage disappointment? Can I manage loneliness? Can I manage jealousy? Can I manage rejection without harming others? That's the emotional maturity, right? Can I manage jealousy? Sometimes we can get jealous with each other, right? Oh my goodness, how you're getting all the attention. Why am I not getting all the attention? Everybody's coming behind you. Why am I not in that place? Right? That place of emotional maturity. And that place of relationship. Do I honor parents, friends, leaders, and people who cannot benefit me? Um, these are all people, who do I honor them? Do I honor my parents, friends, leaders, and people who cannot benefit me? Even some of those people, I can't get any big benefits from them, but there are some of the people, do I honor them, even if I don't get any benefits from them? Can I honor them? Right? I think you want to just add or
You finish this and then I'll add.
yeah, I'm done now. So that's some questions for self-reflection, that place of how you begin to, ask yourself, there's another whole thing that we need to ask for is financial stewardship. Can I live within my means, within my budget? Can I live with my work responsibly and discuss money honestly? Can I live within my means? Today, I think many of us make mistakes. I'm saying us, make mistakes that we begin to learn afterwards and saying we go beyond our means. This is what my income is, but I live this much. I can't live beyond my means. I have to live within my means. That's a message, that's a wisdom that one of my mentor once gave me in saying, George, you don't give according to your means. You don't live, within your means. You live below your means. So what your means is, right? It comes much less, on how you begin to really do it. Calling and purpose. Do I have a growing sense of purpose beyond romance and marriage? See, marriage is not just something that you begin to say, "Oh, it's all about." Yeah, romance is part of a marriage. Marriage, yes, it's a beautiful institution God has created, but is there a calling and a purpose together? So for me and Manju Auntie, our purposes come together. That we have picked up saying, "Okay, we serve children, we serve young people, we serve teenagers, we serve the next generation." That's our purpose, a purpose beyond romance and marriage. Together, we begin to walk. Sexual integrity. Have I decided in advance to honor God with my body, to honor God with my thoughts, to honor God with my media choices? Very big thing. And to honor God in my relationship boundaries. I'll tell you a very interesting thing that I came into ministry very, very early. I was with a lot of young people. A lot of girls were my friends, very interesting. But after marriage, something that I started doing it, sometimes young people ask me this question, why did you do it? No, see, if my wife is beginning to feel uncomfortable with any of that friendships or any of the relationships, then I need to take a step back, and I started withdrawing myself from some of those friendships. The same thing that she did. She did in her place, right? Why? Because we just want to. There are times where some of them are very close friends of mine, but she took time to connect with them. And then they are still friends. They are still friends, but she has connected with them more than me just connecting with that person, right? In that place, right? So before we go on, I'll have Vijay share. Yeah.
Yes, this is all self-reflection. Why it is very important it is because we are preparing ourselves for the marriage. And George has been telling all of us that marriage is something we live for each other. and he said one thing, that we kind of give importance to others' need than mine. It's like somebody said like that when I was a young person, that marriage is dying to yourself. So self preparation is something like that, that you are preparing yourself to get into, because marriage is a covenant that God has created, and it's a beautiful covenant. Young people, sometimes you need to understand, the world gives marriage into a wrong picture. Oh, marriage is all the time fights. Marriage is all the time where two people come and they just vomit on each other. They keep on telling this and that, you're like this, you're like that. But marriage is some it's not some, it's a place that God created, beautiful holy covenant, that we walk into it. And we are very grateful to the Lord that God gave us this idea, or he just put in us, that we do this session, and where we are preparing all of you. And it just excites us, because among all of you, our kids are also there. Our young adult who are yet to get married, they are all there. So it is very exciting for us. So just understand, self reflection, it's not just to just for the sake, no, it is for yourself. Where am I in my spiritual walk with God? What is my character? What do I hold on? Where is my spiritual, emotional maturity lies? Or where I keep my relationship in the standby? Or what do I do with my financial stewardship? And what is my calling for life? And how do I honor God through my body? It's very important for us to prepare ourselves, and for us to just be in a place of not just checking today, or not just evaluating, not just reflecting, but preparing ourselves, getting these things done within us.
Yeah, as Manju aunty said, I think we have at least five, six of them getting ready for marriage. I mean, they're not ready for marriage, but they are almost 24, 25, 23, 24, 25. And we jokingly say them, maybe you guys need to get married together, maybe two people together, three people together in one mandapam, we can finish off the marriage, maybe, with so many kids in the house, right? So yeah, anyway, jokes apart, just see physical relationship scenarios before marriage. See, George Uncle deals with a lot of counseling cases where I talk about things that happen. So I put these three scenarios. There's one scenario that I see: we were emotional and it went out of control and we tried, meaning we got into sexual places, we got into physical places. I'll tell you what happens. So when somebody before marriage, so I want to make a very powerful statement. Physical relationship, physical intimacy before marriage or beyond marriage, before marriage or beyond, which means outside marriage, is not going to fulfill. It will not fulfill. It will not fulfill at all, you know, before marriage or beyond marriage, So there are some people who say, yes, we went out of control and things happen. What happens is that guilt that holds on. Suppose if that marriage doesn't work out. I've had several times I've sat with girls, I've several times I've sat with boys and saying they used me, and we did this and I feel bad about it. I still carry that. And the problem is they carry that hurt into their present marriage and they begin to feel guilty about it again and again and again, So just be careful. There's another scenario that I begin to see quite a bit is we knew that we were good at it. We regularly, there's somebody who regularly somebody comes in, just says, hey, John Uncle, we have nothing, we regularly have sex, we regularly have physical relationship. What's wrong in it? We are going to get married. What's wrong with it? See, the thing is about physical relationship, it's that not going to satisfy. I'm saying that again and again. It will not satisfy because that whole freedom is not there. The full freedom is not there. And physical intimacy is not just physical place. No, it's emotional, it is social, it is spiritual, it is mental. All of those things have to come together. All of those things have to come together, you know. So there are people who say, we are cool about it, but you know what happens? What I begin to see is that the girl feels like, I mean, he's lost interest. See, I was this morning, I didn't go to the church. I took time out to be with the Lord and spend some time. I was very tired. I was just resting a little bit, preparing for the session. Um, there's this whole story of Tamar, and it's very interesting where it says that Absalom, Tamar, and you begin to see that he hated her uh, more than how much he loved her, after he raped, he hated her because that physical intimacy does not satisfy. It kind of brings that place. I'm going to go into some of those details. We'll do it a little later, but I'm just putting a few scenarios. Another very interesting thing that you begin to see is that we longed for it, but we kept our self-control. Great. We longed for it. Yes, there were the places where we could have slipped, but we kept ourselves controlled. Great. Then I also see another, whole set of young people says, we are okay. We did not even think about this aspect, and we were never triggered. We were never even think about this aspect at all. So we were never triggered. So that today, physical play has become very common, very common, and especially in an Indian context, it's becoming very common. 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, trying. One boy just came and asked me this question and saying, George uncle, if you want to buy a shoe, we try out, so why can't I try that girl, because I want to know if we are fitting, in that place of emotional intimacy or physical intimacy before I marry. And I just said, see, the problem is this, that you can try out, it's like Operation Success, but patient died. So you can try out, but the kind of baggage that you will carry after you try out is huge. It's really huge. And we will talk a little bit more later. We come into some of those details. So do not choose a life partner primarily based on physical attraction alone. Do not chase, though physical attraction is important. One boy came to me and he just said, George uncle, she's not very beautiful in my eyes, but she's so godly, uncle, so godly, and I want to marry her. And I said, don't go in that marriage. He said, why? I said, she should be delight to your eyes. She should be beautiful into your eyes. If she's not beautiful to your eyes, you're not going to be drawn to her again and again. Today, after 20 years, she's more beautiful for me. I recently also I told her, I said, you look more beautiful now than what I saw you 20 years ago. She looks more beautiful for me today. See, you need to be drawn. So physical attraction alone is not going to be great. Don't choose your life partner based on social media image, popularity, talent, family wealth, ministry visibility. No, that's not going to stand. It's not going to stand. Oh, he has so many followers. Oh my goodness, if I get married to him, if I get married to her, then I might also get so many followers. No social media image, right? Popularity. Don't choose your life partner based on pressure because everyone else is dating and getting married. I have to find someone. Each one catch one. Somehow, right? I have to find someone at any cost. No, don't go by pressure. Don't worry about it. You didn't find someone, that's okay. You're waiting for it, that's okay. Recently, one girl came and said, Sir, he rejected me. How can he reject me? I told her, saying, you should look at him and just say, you lost me. Boss, you lost me. That should be the attitude. You lost me, and I'm the most amazing person, and you lost me, right? So that kind of an attitude, a girl rejects you, the guy comes and just says, Sir, she rejected me because she went with my close best friend, you know. And I said, you look at her and said, you lost me, girl. You lost me. I am the most amazing guy. You lost me, right? That's the whole thing, right? Don't get married. Don't start looking for the life partner because everyone else is dating. Everyone else is getting married. I'm not getting married. I'm not getting married. I'm telling you, for me, marriage was so delayed. I crossed 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and I was in Kerala at that time. 29, it's like a death certificate, gone. You're not going to get married. You know, Everybody was trying to come behind me and say, somehow you will get married, you will get a girl, and things like that. But I still remember one of my friend, she was a girl, and she would always, I mean, we knew we were not going to get married, but she was a good friend, a close friend. And she would always make this joke and said, "Hey, she's around the corner. It's just that her shoes is having some pebbles inside, so she's not able to walk properly. But she's around the corner. She's coming. She's coming." And she would always use that illustration, and she would always say, "She's coming, she's coming, she's around the corner, she's around the corner." And especially when you're 29, around the corner means everyone, anyone looking around and say, "Is this the person? Is that the person?" Right? And I was at a college where there were girls going to her, and there was one girl who went to her and prayed with her, saying, "Pray for me that I would get married to George." And she prayed for that girl that she should get married to George. And finally, she got very offended because she got married to me. But at that time, she didn't even know she was going to get married to me. So that's the whole different thing. Sylvia's laughing. So that's a whole place on how things begin to change, right? So don't be under that pressure. Don't be under that pressure, right? Don't look for a life partner because of pity. Oh my goodness, this girl is struggling. Oh, this guy is struggling. I can change, rescue this person. I'm so sorry. I want to tell you, you're not Mother Teresa or Father Teresa. No, you're not. Right? So don't get married to change that person. Don't get married to help that person. Don't get married to a place to say, I somehow can change this person. Don't get married out of pity. If they're really struggling, maybe give them 100 rupees, no problem. Send a GPay, no problem. But don't get married that because you want to help that person. A person is really struggling. Somebody came to me recently and they said, George uncle, this girl is really from a very difficult background, struggling. I somehow want to give my life to her. And I said, think about it. You think about it. Don't get married because she's in a big problem. That means you're also going to get into that problem. Not that you should not marry a person like that, but your primary thing should not be that I want to rescue this person or I want to change this person. That cannot be that primary place, right? Don't get married because of fear. This may be my only chance after all the rejection. Finally, I found this one girl. I found this one guy, so I may not get married again. Sometimes that pressure can come, right? Sometimes some parents can also say that, right? Hey, this is the last chance. You'd miss this, you're gone. That's it. You will not get married again. Somehow, you say yes to this. Somehow you say yes to that. No, don't get married because of fear. I mean, God can. I always use this illustration. In the Garden of Eden, I mean, one boy came to me and asked me this question. That's where it all triggered. The boy came to me and said, Uncle, in Garden of Eden, it was very easy for Adam. He opened his eyes, there was only one Eve. When I open the eyes, there are so many Eves. Yeah, good point, valid point, right? I opened my eyes today, there are so many Eves. Adam opened the eyes, there was only one Eve. So the boy came and said, Uncle, it was so easy for him to, get married because it was just one Eve that's there. But I had to teach him the principle saying, God made Eve for Adam. God made Eve for Adam, right? That's the principle. God has made somebody for you, and He will bring that person to you at the right time. When, I don't know, but at the right time. You need to just look at Him. I love the statement. I forgot to put that statement. I was really thinking about that statement. I forgot that statement, but now I'm remembering that statement. It's an unknown person who has made this statement. The statement is this: your heart, girls, listen to me. Your heart should be so lost in God that the boy should seek God to find your heart. Your heart should be so lost in God that the boy should seek God to find your heart. The same thing, for the boys. The boys, your heart should be so lost in God that the girl should seek God to find your heart. That's the whole place, right? So don't come to that place where you start looking for that person, based on these attractions, in that place. Anything you wanted to add? you know a wise relationship always asks this: who is this person consistently, especially under pressure? You want to know who that person is, watch them who they are under pressure. I counsel today so many times, and I do a lot of boy girl relationship counseling. Sometimes Manju aunty says I have to do my PhD in boy girl relationship. especially for teenagers. And I sit and counsel a lot. And sometimes I get to hear this and saying, sir, she behaved like this. Sir, he behaved like this. And then he came, sorry, 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 sorry. But he has been behaving like this again and again and again. And coming back and saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I just said, see, there is seemed to be a pattern here. That under pressure, that boy is not behaving properly. Under pressure, that girl is not behaving properly. So if you read, this is a wise relationship question. Who is this person consistently, especially under pressure? When you are under pressure, when he's under pressure, who is this person, right? That's a good question to ask. So do not marry potential, marry proven character. Don't say, oh, this girl is potential for something amazing, into my, no, no, no. Marry proven character. It's something that in a place, I would always say this to young people, even if I know some of you here might be already having a person, maybe you're already thinking about it, maybe you're already saying, hey, this is the girl that I want to get married, this is the boy that I want to get married, and things like that. I would still give you a word of wisdom. Hold that person with open hands. Hold that person with open hands. Why? What if? What if that's not the person? Hold that person with open hands. Why open hands? Because so that you're not holding and saying, I need this. Rather, you're saying, Lord, if it's your will, make this happen. I'm telling you, when I was waiting, there were so many incidences that I thought this girl is the person I'm going to marry. I got Bible verses. I got so many Bible verses. God speaking to me almost every morning about that person. And I'm like, yes, this is the person. But it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And I always say, young people, three things. One is the word of God, circumstances also should go together, and the peace that passes all understanding. Peace of God that's there. All these three have to go together. All the three have to go together, right? So be being that person of how you're beginning to, really, share it and talk and things like that.
Yes, when you are planning for your marriage, please be careful because, as George Uncle said, open hand. Keep that person in open hand. But it is, I understand, and he also understands it's very, very, very difficult when you get entangled with anybody emotionally. It's very difficult to let them go. It becomes a very, very heartbreaking situation, or you can say very dirty emotionally, very yeah, it's like you are in a emotional mud. It's very difficult. So better to be in a place of open, keep the person in open hand, where if you come to a place, okay, this person is not for me, and you let go. Because if you let go, God brings for you the person who is being created for you. In the beginning session, George Uncle said there is one person he has created for you and me, not 10 people. That's why even when young people come and say, can't I try shoe? No, no, no. No trying. It's not a shop. It's not a market that we keep going and trying. No, we need to seek the Lord and ask the Lord for the to bring right person. See, many people say, they joke also, about Adam and Eve. God had to put Adam to sleep to bring Eve. So many boys need to go to sleep. Is that the thing? No, it's just that we need to seek the Lord. We don't need to look around or things like that. You be in social relationship, not saying that you shouldn't talk, you shouldn't be in friendship. It's good to be in friendship relationship, because if from that friendship relationship your marriage person comes, that's the best thing. But then don't look around, oh, should I, this person I should marry, or this person. No, no.
Yeah. Our time is running out. So what do you look for? You look for a sincere growing relationship with Christ. that they are constantly, sincerely growing. It's not somebody who's stuck. It's not somebody who's perfect. Sorry. It's not somebody who's perfect, but somebody who's growing in the Lord. What do you look for? You look for integrity, truthfulness, faithfulness, respect for others, consistency, both in public and private. Some people are consistent publicly, but in private places, they are not consistent. So both in public and private, they are consistent. Emotional stability, ownership of mistakes. They take ownership of mistakes. They don't put the blame all the time on you and just say, hey, you are, because of you, you are the one. No, they're secure enough to own that mistake and say, yes, I made a mistake. Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's emotional stability. Look for that. Look for respectful treatment of parents, siblings, service workers, former friends, those with less power. That this person respects, people, respect treatment of parents, right? Shared core convictions about faith, marriage, sexuality, children, work, money, family involvement, ministry. So you guys are in the same page, kind of same page. You kind of have those convictions together. You may not have the same taste. Please understand. Don't try to find somebody from the same taste. When I say same taste, you like biryani, she doesn't like biryani. That's okay. She doesn't like biryani at all. That's okay. Taste is okay. But the convictions, the core convictions have to be somewhere in the similar page, somewhere in the similar page. Taste is very different. You like purple, she likes pink, different. She likes green, fluorescent green, different. So in that place on how you begin to see it, right? So it's okay, the taste is different. Willingness to receive counsel and correction, look for this. Are they willing? Are they people who are willing to receive counsel and correction, not just from you, maybe even from others? Observe them. That's why when you're in a group, observe them. How are they able to receive correction? How are they able to receive counsel? Are they constantly, reasoning and fighting whenever people are trying to correct them? Are they constantly willing to put up a wall and say, no, this is not going to work out, things like that? What is their capacity to communicate, listen, repair conflict, and forgive? What's their capacity? So today, it's not about how you can, come to a place of covering some of your mistakes. No, it's how you come to a place of building your capacity for some of these places. It's not how you can cover. So many a times young people come and just say, she doesn't even know this part of me. I've kind of very nicely covered. It's not about covering. It's about building your capacity. Build your capacity, capacity to communicate, capacity to listen, capacity to repair conflict and forgive, in that place, right? What do you look for? You look for a very helpful dating principle is to observe a potential spouse in varied settings. Let me put something very interestingly. This one thing is very important, not only in romantic moments. Observe this person not only in romantic moments, but in disappointments. Observe them in delays. Observe them how they do in family context. Observe them during service when they have to serve somebody. Observe them in money decisions. Observe them in stress. Observe them in conflicts. Right? It's very important you look for some of these things. Observe them on how you begin to see something. So please understand, Christian dating looks for character, responsibility, obedience, and the person's relationship with God rather than a superficial attraction. It's something much deeper, in a place on how things happen. One of the big dating principle. The purpose of dating is discernment, not emotional entertainment. It's a very big dating principle. The purpose of dating is discernment, not emotional entertainment, not emotional entanglement. The purpose of dating is discernment, that you begin to walk in that place. So, a discussion question where you can think, what's the difference between love, infatuation, attachment, loneliness, and physical attraction? There's a whole different thing. Difference between love, infatuation, attachment, loneliness, physical attraction. It's something that you guys can think about it, discuss among your own friends and things like that. It's a good question. We don't have time, so we're not going to discuss about it, but think about it. There's a lot of difference between genuine love. And I hope you all know the Greek words for love. Agape is a love between God and man. Eros is a love between two intimate partners. The word erotic comes from eros. And then phileo is a love between a friend and a friend. So there are different Greek words for it. There are whole different things that begin to happen, right? So what's the difference between love, infatuation, attachment, loneliness, and physical attraction? Now, we'll go into the 7 principles. One of the first 7 principles is put on Christ first. A relationship must not replace prayer, worship, family, purpose, or spiritual growth. Put on Christ first. The relationship must not replace prayer. Be in that place on how we begin to, really see things. Date with clarity. Are we exploring marriage wisely, or are we simply enjoying attention and emotional closeness? It's a good question to ask. Date with clarity. This whole thing, the PDF, we will send it to you. You can have the PDF, and you guys, all those who have attended, you will be able to get that whole PDF, so don't worry about, trying to take all the little mistakes, notes and all of that. Don't worry about it. Date with clarity. Are we exploring marriage wisely, or simply enjoying attention and emotional closeness? Today, a lot of relationships that I begin to counsel and see is all about enjoying attention and emotional closeness. It's not about discernment. It's not about discernment, right? Move slowly enough to see clearly. Strong emotions can hide serious incompatibilities. When your emotions are very, very strong, you will see there'll be so many blind spots. Be careful of that. There'll be too many blind spots when your emotions are very, very strong. So move slowly enough to see clearly. Strong emotions can hide serious incompatibilities, serious incompatibilities. You want to be very careful on that. Bring the relationship into the light. If you're in a relationship with someone, bring it to the light. Don't keep it in the hiding. Anything you keep in darkness, the enemy will play around. Don't keep it in darkness. Bring to a trusted parents, mentors, pastors, mature believers should know your relationship. Maybe not tell everyone, that's not very wise, but at least trusted few people whom you're very close with. I'm thinking about this girl. I'm thinking about this boy. Please, can you pray along with me? I've not still confirmed, but I'm thinking. And just because you're thinking, don't think that it's going to work out. No, sometimes it may not work out. It may not work out. I did that to at least 4 or 5 girls when I was waiting. I told my mentors and said, I'm thinking about it. And they were always very excited. Okay, George is not getting married. So he's somehow found somebody. So they're like, oh, George, you found this person. Oh, great, fantastic. And then after 2 months, they asked me, saying, what happened? I said, it didn't work out. Then again, I would say, no, I found this girl. She's from this place in America. And they were like, wow, oh, great. This is fantastic. And then after 1 month, they asked me, I said, no, it didn't work out. She already left to America. It didn't work out, in that place. So when it came to Manju, I was more cautious not to tell, because I've already got burnt about 4 or 5 times telling them to pray. And now, like, I don't know, but I think so. I was very careful. Maybe it might work or may not work and things like that. Thank God it worked. Thank God it worked. Right? So bring it to the light. Bring it to the light. These are very good principles. I'll give you 3 principles and I'll have Manju aunty share a little bit. Use honest conversations early. Discuss faith. Discuss marriage expectations. Discuss career. Discuss about children, what's your goal, what it is. Discuss about debt, if you're having debts. Some people, today I see a lot of different scenarios. Some people, young people are saying, I have to earn money, my mom is in big debt, my dad is in big debt, and my whole point is I have to help them out. And some of them themselves are in debt. Family boundaries, conflict, health, past wounds, appropriately. So, don't open up everything very openly, quick. Don't do too fast, too soon. That's a principle. Yes, you need to share it, but not too fast, too soon. You want to be very careful about it, because you share too fast, too soon, unnecessarily, inappropriately. Then if that relationship doesn't work out, it'll get a little messy. Get a little messy. So don't do too fast, too soon. Share a little bit here and there. So that's one outer circle where you share few things, and then when you move on, then you share a little bit more. That's my next point. Do not isolate yourself. Healthy relationships remain connected to the community, family, friendship, work, service. Don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate to constantly say, I only have to spend time with that person. That's what happens today. They only trying to score goal with that person, and so everybody else takes a back seat. Every other friendships take a back seat. So don't get to that place. Don't get to that place. I mean, be alongside with everyone, on how you can, and give one another freedom. Love does not manipulate. Love does not threaten. Love does not pressure. Love does not stalk. Love does not demand constant access. That's a very important point. Love does not demand constant access. I called you 15 times. You didn't pick up my call. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, yaar. My battery got drained out, and I missed out, in that place. And he's so upset. I'll not talk to you for the next 1 week. I called you 15 times. Love does not demand constant access. It gives that freedom to that other person and say, hey, maybe she's busy with something. Maybe he's busy with something. Maybe he's just in that place, of what it is. I mean, a few months back, I had to deal with a case that boy genuinely his phone fell into the water, and he was so much panicking because it fell into the water and how to repair and what it is and things like that. And this girl called, for one day she called, and she got so upset and said, you did not answer. He said, Hare, Hare, my phone is inside the water, it's not even picking up, it's not even going. This is what happened. And he was so tensed about that because it was a costly phone and it went into the water, and he was trying to, go behind it and, things like that. So these are some very good 7 principles. I'll give you the PDF. We'll give the PDF.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to share something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to it when George Uncle was sharing about all this 7 principle. One thing is we all have to understand, especially young people, sometimes when you get entangled with emotions, it's like emotionally you are high, then thinking logically. I remember a girl whom we were discipling, and she was in relationship, and this guy, what happened is he asked her phone because she's very outgoing personality and she has a lot of friends. And it was very, very sad to see this boy asked for all the password, even Facebook and Insta, everything, and took it and went back and he started checking all her profile. And what he saw was she was chatting with different boys, different men, different girls. It is all healthy relationship she had. But this guy got so upset saying, why do you have so many boys as a friend? He started controlling her. And you know what? It ended up breaking. So always remember when we try to control, the one illustration is George Uncle's famous illustration in regard to relationship. If you hold something very tight, it will tear. So that means it's good. Like we need to be mature in our relationship and we need to give space to each other. If you give a space to each other, your relationship with each other, healthy way, it will grow. You need to give God in between your relationship. You have to keep God, that is for sure. But space giving to each other will help you to understand other person and grow together.
Yeah. It's come to red flags. This is a very, very important part. Warnings that must not be ignored. If you in your relationship you see some of these warnings, you have to bail out. You really have to bail out. Don't sit and reason and things like that. A red flag does not mean every imperfect person is unfit for marriage. No, everyone has weaknesses, please understand that. But a repeated pattern without repentance, without accountability, without change is actually serious. That's a right perspective. I'm putting that in. Red flag does not mean every imperfect person is unfit for marriage. No, everyone is imperfect. Everyone has weaknesses. But a repeated pattern without repentance, without accountability, without change, that person is not changing, is serious. You need to look into that. So, in this, I want to bring in abuse. Abuse is not a relationship problem that a couple should simply pray through alone. No. If someone faces threats, coercion, stalking, violence, or sexual abuse, prioritize safety and involve a trusted family, church leadership, a qualified counselor, a local support services. Do not pressure a person to continue, reconcile, or marry an unsafe partner. There's some kind of an abuse that's happening. You need to prioritize safety beyond everything. So let's look at some of the red flags. So what are some of the red flags? One is it's a controlling behavior, like just now Manju aunty said, monitoring phone, monitoring how you clothing, your location, your friendships. You need to give me all the passwords and you can't make any decision without me. That's a controlling behavior. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. If anybody is beginning to control you that way and says, I have to monitor your phone, I have to, where were you need to send me the live location, where did you go, whom did you meet, who are your friends, you need to give me all the passwords, you need to tell me all the decisions. You're not yet married, yeah, come on. So you can make your own decisions. You're free to make your own decisions. You're not accountable to somebody else for your decisions, right? You're not yet married, right? That's a big red flag. Pam, 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 pam. For me, that's a big red flag. Another big red flag, anger that becomes intimidation, anger that insults, anger that threats, anger that breaks objects, anger that has physical force or sexual pressure. That's a big red flag. That's a big red flag. Anger that becomes intimidation, anger that insults, right? Threats and all of that. That's a big red flag. Pam, 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 pam. That's a big trigger for me, right? Dishonesty, secret relationship, cheating, or a double life. That person is also in touch with another person. One boy came to me and said, I'm in a relationship with two girls. I said, why? Sir, backup plan, sir. If one fails, another works, sir. Backup plan, sir. I said, no, it doesn't have to be like that. No, it doesn't have to go like that. You don't have to have, dishonesty, secret relationship, cheating, double life, it's not going to be a workout. Persistent pornography use, sexual coercion, and refuse to honor boundaries. That's a big red flag. Persistent. Maybe I'm seeing so many times when I'm counseling, I'm seeing the girl or the boy. There are some girls who are addicted to pornography. Unfortunately, there are boys who are addicted to pornography. And in the relationship, they said, hey, I fell into it. I was watching this and things like that. They say that. And they are very, they're saying, oh, uncle, I'm so grateful that that person is acknowledging their weaknesses and that they saw it and things like that. I said, I'm okay with that, but if they're constantly falling again and again, then for me that's a big red flag. That's a big red flag. There's somewhere slips happens, yes, that's okay. But constantly they're falling, and that's why I put that word called persistent pornography use. Persistent. So recently one of the two of the young person who had come to me, they were in relationship, but one person was struggling with pornography and things like that. My best advice was like, hey, till you totally come out of it to a certain extent, I think you should not be in relationship with this person. Just put a break. Just keep a break. In that way you're honoring her and you're honoring him, because you're not still playing around with your places of it. Just put a break. You yourself put a break, in a place of how you begin to see things. Substance misuse, gambling, severe financial irresponsibility, or hidden debt. You don't even know how much debt that this person is having, hidden debt, substance misuse, gambling, severe financial. I mean, these are huge red flags that can come along, huge red flags. If you see some of these red flags, you want to be very careful about it. Disrespect towards parents, disrespect towards women or men or leaders or service workers or things like that. Please understand, We will talk about leaving and cleaving, when you marry and how you leave your parents and you connect with each other. At the same time, you have to honor your parents. You cannot totally disconnect from your parents. You have to honor the parents. You have to be in connection with your parents, right? It's very important. Yes, you're starting your own life. We always say, yes, you're starting your own life. Don't allow parents to control your marriage and things like that. That's very important. But at the same time, you should not totally disconnect from parents. You have to honor them. You really have to walk alongside with them and see how things begin to happen, right? Refusal to apologize, always blaming others. That's a big red flag. Every time in any problem, in the last 6 months, recently one girl came and said, Uncle, in the last 6 months, any problem, it's my problem. It's not his problem. He always blames me. He always. And I said, see, I don't know whether I'm not here to tell you whether this was right or wrong or things like that. But for me, this is a big red flag because he's constantly blaming you. He's constantly, walking in that place. Even after marriage, that might be the same scenario that might happen. So you want to be a little careful about it and think about this relationship. Isolation. If you love me, you will leave your friends, family, and you will come to me. If you love me, you will not talk with any of your old friends. If you love me, you will not connect with your parents. Isolation is a big red flag. See, the other person coming into your life should not isolate you from your other friends and family and everyone else. No, they should actually add to that. It should not be isolation, not be you isolating. Mocking faith or resisting biblical convictions is a big red flag, right? They're mocking your faith and saying, refusal to seek help for trauma or addiction or uncontrolled anger or mental health struggles. You know that this person is having a mental health struggle, uncontrolled anger, refusal to seek help, having trauma, big red flag. Rushing commitment. Now, this is a big red flag. Marry me now or prove you don't love me. You marry me now. You have to marry me now or you prove you don't love me. So that's rushing commitment. No, you don't want anybody to rush you into this. This is a lifelong commitment. You don't want anybody to rush you into that place and how it happens, right? Marriage readiness audit. What I want you to do, we have another 10 minutes to finish this first session. In the scale of 1 to 5, for these questions, if it's a big no, put 1. If it's a big yes, put 5. If it's somewhere in between, then put 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is, right? These are the 5 questions, and I'm going to put some questions, be ready for that. Okay, if it's a big no to this question, put 1. If it's a big yes, put 5, right? Or in between, whatever you want to put, 3, 4, you know what's the scale. The sliding scale is from no to yes, right? Okay, the first question. I can receive correction without becoming defensive. If it's a big no, I can't receive connection, then put 1. Like big yes, yes, or in between said, yeah, sometimes I receive, sometimes I don't. Then put maybe 3 or 4 or 2.5, whatever. Next question. I can apologize sincerely. It's not I can apologize every time. No, it's I can apologize sincerely. It's about you, okay? It's about you. Don't think about your other person and answer this question. It's about you. Next question. I manage anger without shouting, withdrawing, or punishing. I manage anger without shouting, withdrawing, or punishing. Sylvia's nodding the head and saying, no. Okay. I'm honest with money and commitments. I'm honest with money and commitments. Yes. There's a big yes, put 5. I can be content while single. I don't need the other person as a crutch for me, for my emotions. Even if I'm alone, single, I can be content. There are so many of them that I counsel. Sometimes I see that other partner is not there. They feel trash about themselves. They feel horrible about themselves if that other person is not there. I have clear boundaries for dating and sexual purity. I have clear boundaries. Big no or big yes. The last question, I have mature people who can speak into my life, not mature people to whom I can speak. No, mature people who can speak into my life. They will be able to speak into my life. Mature people who will speak into my life. So if I make a mistake or if I'm in a place, and things like that, they can speak into my life. My walk with God is not dependent on a romantic relationship. The reason I'm saying this is that several times in my counseling, I have seen people say, Uncle, when I got close to this girl, I got close to this guy, I really feel I can really love God, and she has brought me so close to God, you know, and I love God more when I'm in relationship with this person. No, your walk with God is not dependent on a romantic relationship. Now, you don't have to tell me what's the answer and things like that. This is just a self reflection readiness audit, just a self reflection. Maybe some of you are not going to get married in the next 2 years or 3 years or, things like that. But maybe some of you are saying, I'm actually absolutely at the brink of it. For you, this audit is very big. You're at the brink of getting married. For you, this audit is very big. For some of you, not very great. I'll leave you with this for the first session. Gary Chapman describes 5 common ways people may specially experience love and care. Okay. Now you have to think words of affirmation. That's why one of the tests in the assessment that I have sent you is 5 love languages. I hope you guys took that assessment, 5 love languages. Find out what your love language is. So some people, their love language is words of affirmation, appreciation, encouragement, honor, right? They feel very loved when somebody gives words of affirmation. For some people, it's quality time, undivided attention, and meaningful presence. For some people, just, that's why they come and just sit with you. What do you want? What do you want to talk? They say, nothing. Just sit with you. That's their love language. Time, quality time is their love language. For some people, it's receiving gifts, thoughtful symbols of being remembered. Receiving gifts. They give gifts, and receive gifts. And for some people, it's acts of service, helpful voluntary service. They keep on like to serve others, right? In a place how they see it. For some people, it's physical touch, appropriate affection, connection within God honoring boundaries. Appropriate affectionate connection within God honoring boundaries. Now, look at this very carefully. Now, it's important for us to understand Chapman's practical point is that people often give love in the way they themselves prepare to receive it. So couples benefit from learning to express care in ways their spouse recognizes. So why do some people say, you don't love me? Basically, they are saying, you don't love me the way I receive love. I receive love because my love language is words of affirmation. But you're loving me with your love language. Your love language is acts of service. Your love language is gifts. My love language is not gifts. Her love language is acts of service. She all the time, would always like to serve me and help me and things. That's not my love language. My love language is different, right? So you begin to understand what's your spouse love languages and learn to love them in their love language, right? And how things have to move forward. Now, do not say, this is my love language, so you must meet all my demands. No, love language is not a tool to control a spouse. No, they are an invitation to become attentive, generous, and other centered. It's not something you can say, you know what my love language. We both took the test, we took the assessment. You know what my love language. You're supposed to know. I mean, the other person is learning. The other person is still taking it one step at a time. Right? Give them the space, give them the care, on how things would happen. As we close this first session, looking for an answer, then ask, if there's any questions that has come. Okay. What about arranged marriages? Okay. Please understand this. In a world that we live in today, I'm not against arranged marriages, but don't hurt parents. Don't, in India, it's like this, children. Please understand this. In India, parents take it as an honor and a privilege to get that marriage arranged for you. It's a privilege for them. That's how they see it. So if you are going to think about, say, I want to, find a girl and things like that, do it carefully so that you can give them that honor, give parents the honor of arranging it. So don't rebel and just say, hey, I'm not going to, because in some countries, I'm telling you, the parents can only go to a marriage if they are allowed to, if they are given permission to come for their marriage. Otherwise they can't go to the marriage. So it's in Indian context, it's slightly different. They love doing that wedding, in that place. I'm not against arranged marriage or for love marriage or against love marriage and for arranged marriage. I think it should be a mix of it. With my children, I've always told them some of them maybe in another year or two will be in marriage, and I just said, okay, you catch, I match. It's what I've told them. That's a principle, right?
Sylvia's enjoying.
That's what I've told them. I said, okay, you catch, I match, whoever you want to catch. But then I've taught them the principles of what kind of a person it needs to be, of what the person needs to be, how it is, things like that, right? What if we found some red flags in some person? Should we accept it and agree, or still assess and move on from that person?
No, if you find a red flag, you have seen those assessment and evaluate. And I just heard one of the incidents. Somebody was about to get married, but then in the place of when these two people were sitting down and meeting and talking, and I really appreciate this person is she or he, they were in a place of assessing, evaluating, and suddenly saw the red flag. And red flag was not just one point, so many. And these people, they backed up. They said, oh, we are not for each other. And that's how, in a healthy way, they move backward. So we need to do no hurting, no shooting gun on each other, and what do you say, killing with our words. But then, in gentle way, you need to move out.
Yeah, if you see a red flag, give a break. At least I would say give a break immediately. Don't try to drag it. More you drag it, though, it'll get muddy and you will not see clearly. So don't drag it. That's something that I'm seeing in my counsel quite a lot. People drag it, drag it, drag it, drag it. Then it gets very muddy, clouded, and you don't see things clearly. So the best way to see things clearly is give a break and separate for some time, for a few months or things like that, so that you can see things clearly. Then if you want to get back, you can always reach out. Otherwise, you move on, right? Can love language be a combination of all five? It's usually what he says is there's a primary love language and the secondary love language. So, the assessment that has been given is a very small assessment. You can actually go into garychapman.com. There's a very detailed assessment that is there. You can actually do it, and you'll be able to find what's your primary love language, secondary love language. If I have not achieved full readiness, do I wait till it's fully achieved before I start looking, no matter how long I have to wait? Yes or no, I would just say. Don't wait too long. At the same, you will never be totally perfect. You will never be totally perfect. At the same time, don't rush into it if you're having too many baggages. So that's why I said yes, and you wanted to say something.
No.
So you will never be perfect. You will never be perfect. So don't wait for that perfectionist. Then you'll become 45. Then you'll become 55. Then you will not get married. So don't be too perfect. At the same time, don't rush into it, right? What do you tell children who are scared of marriages and don't want to marry because they have seen trouble with their parents? They do not have a good role model. Yeah.
Both of our parents, we didn't have a good role model. But then when we came to Christ, when we tasted the love of God and saw beautiful examples around us in the church, we got excited. And now for us, we try to live with an example. But I would say is our marriage is 99% we enjoy. 1% is we both are different, right? We have differences under one roof. We have fights, that all is there. But then we enjoy our marriage. We love each other. There is a joy in our marriage. There is peace in our family, and we do what God has called us to do, and we are excited with our life.
See, I will just say this is a parent asking a question. I think expose them to some families that they can be part of. Yes, they have seen some bad role models, and that's why they are scared. They're offering, they are having fear. What if my marriage becomes like that? And they're very afraid. So let them go and be part of some good families. I started spending a lot of time. I think God gave me so much of time. Got married only at 29 because I started spending time with so many families with good marriages. There I began to see what good marriage is, right? In that place, how I begin to see things, right? So in the arranged marriage, how do we evaluate the principles if only one or two meet and 1 week answer time is given, things like that. I think it goes by case to case, person to person. If you're not very peaceful, you need a little more time, let the parents know, saying, I think I'm not peaceful. I would say this, children, I'm calling you all children, most of you. I'm saying this. God has put that thermometer in your heart. Everyone knows that. The thermometer, sometimes you feel very uncomfortable with some things. Trust that. Trust that. That thermometer that is there. If it's God's will, that's why I gave you three principles: circumstances, word of God, and the peace of God. If you don't have peace, don't walk into it. Don't walk into it, in that place. But also, you have another angle of it. Don't walk in that place of self-doubt constantly and saying, I don't think I can do it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to work out. Don't walk in that place of self-doubt. That might be your baggage that you're carrying. So you want to be very careful of what does the Bible say about age gap between marriage, where the guy is 2 years younger to me but has a proven character and a zeal to serve God.
It's okay if you feel peace and the guy feel peace. It's between both of you. It's not hardcore that you need to have an older guy. If the guy is mature, you can go ahead.
Yeah, but I'll tell from a biblical principle also that the husband should be able to lead the house.
Yeah. Even though younger, he should be leading.
He should be able to be a leader who should be able to guide, who should be able to not dominate the house, but lead the house. Who's able to lead and able to walk in that place. If that person is not able to lead, that's where the whole issue that comes about. I mean, I know of people who are differences, age differences, and things like that. But again, see how the Lord begins to lead you. Being Christian, should we look for someone who is born again believer? Given that there's a golden rule in Christian community, what are your views? Absolutely, you want somebody who loves the Lord. Not a Christian per se. I'm not holding on to the thing saying somebody needs to be a Christian or a person. No, but somebody who loves the Lord. See, that's the center. If they don't love the Lord and they don't understand God has redeemed them, God has died on that cross for them, and He has saved them, that's the core thing. There are sometimes young people ask this question saying, what if I marry this person and then this person accepts the Lord, and things like that. I've not seen things, go a good way. They should not accept the Lord because they love you or because they're marrying you. No, they need to accept the Lord because they love the Lord. They've known what the Lord has done in their lives, right? From a biblical perspective, is it acceptable to marry someone from a different culture background as long as they're a genuine believer and a parents strongly oppose that marriage because of a cultural differences? How should we, the couple, approach it? I mean, we are from a different culture, a whole different culture. She's from a very, very different culture, and I'm from a very different culture. Everybody looks at her and say, Manju, okay, she's a Malayali. She's not a Malayali. She's a Nepali, was born and brought up in India, so she's a North Indian, you know. I don't know how she got her name Manju, some Malayali name, but she's not, So I'm from a whole different background, in that place. So if the parents approach, I think you need to talk to the parents. You need to tactfully not make it very restless kind of a situation, but kind of talk to the parents and say how it is and what, and things like that. Let there be peace that needs to come when the marriage begins to happen. For marriage, how we know he's an ideal match and we are compatible by not being too much pressure using communication, because nowadays usually people pretend to be very good in the first meeting. That's a statement that I said, discernment. Right in the beginning, I made a statement. Discernment. You need to be discerning, of what it is, right? So I think most of the questions have come. Some people, um, I saw a red flag within myself that I have identified and fixing it slowly. How to share this initial stage of talking. Also, what are the views of having engagement period of a long 6 months or 1 year? What are the challenges that could come up? Ideally, ideally, I would say um, you have got engaged. Don't drag it for more than 1 year or so. Don't drag it beyond engagement, because you got engaged. Ideally you get engaged maybe 6 months, you should get married. That 6 months is for the place of preparation, and things like 6 months, 8 months, place of preparation and things like that. But maximum maybe 1 year.
Yeah.
You drag it too much, I see sometimes distractions, I see sometimes that connection being getting lost, and things like that. It becomes very difficult, and things like that. So see how it happens. Don't also do it very quickly. Sometimes happens. In our situation, I think we got engaged March, 1 month. Yeah, engaged March, and then we got married on April. March 29th, April 29th was our wedding. It was too quick. It was too quick. And but then we hardly had anybody and things like that. Our wedding, I think 15 people came, I think 15 or 16 people came, with a lot of children who came in. And our wedding finished by everything by 7:15, 7:20 in the evening. We all went back home. That was our wedding, in the place of how things happened, right? Okay, I think I'm going to give a break. I'm going to give a break, and just about 7 minutes, 7 minutes break, and then we'll come back. The next session is going to be very, very powerful about some things that we're going to talk about. Lovely talking to you. I'll see you next session. Okay, we will start. Okay, before we start, I thought, can you all put your cameras on? We'll take one picture just to see all your faces. Just one picture, please. Everybody's camera, if you're able to.
Selvi.
Yes, Joshua from Mumbai, Effie from Meghalaya. Okay, Zebia. Okay. Yeah, if you can put your pictures, we'll just take one picture quickly. Yeah. Puneet, Johnny. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, Jacob from Tirunelveli. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Lanuthula. Okay. Rebecca. Yes, 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 yes. Everybody just smile, smile, smile. One big smile. Okay, the next screen, the second screen. Yeah, if everybody can smile, 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 smile. Grace and Srisha. Yeah, thank you, Karunya. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, yes, yes. If you can put your cameras on, yeah, yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Ronella, thank you. Yes, yes. Oh, Melba also is there. Madam, welcome.
Hannah is there.
Hannah is there. Okay. Okay, smile. Okay, great, great, great. Thank you, thank you. I mean, you can keep your thing on or you can switch it off, not a problem. Let's go with. Great, great, great. Okay, we're going to go into something very, very important. But I thought before that, let me just, there was one or two questions that had come in, what's a minimum dating period that you would suggest? I would say minimum, if you know that person really well, maybe 1 or 2 months would be okay. But if you don't know the person very well, you need some time or, things like that, at least 6 months just to get to know, in that place that I would say. Somebody had written saying the parents keep on saying, you're not wise enough or elders know best and things like that. See, however old you are, I don't know how young you are, how old you are, trust the Lord. Get to the Lord. The Lord has some. I can tell you stories after stories of people who waited very long, but God brings the right person. God brings the right person, So don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. If the other person ticks all the boxes of what a godly spouse should be, and you're at peace with the decision, but the parents are not at peace, how do we navigate through that? Now, that peace is part of, see, your parents and the people around you should be at peace. That's part of that peace process. If they're not at peace, then that will become a lot of push and pull that begins to happen. So if you really want this person to get married and things like that, then I mean, Manju auntie, I was telling my story of I went behind so many girls and didn't work out and things like that. She was almost wanting to get married to somebody, but then what happened is her father said no, and it really broke her heart. So when we got to know, she did not emotionally open up to me at all. I even wondered whether this girl can smile or not, in that place, right? She never opened up because she was very clear if her father is going to say no, then I'm not going to marry you. She was very clear about that. But then after her father said yes to her, then she came and she smiled at me and she said, yes, my father said yes. So that peace is part of that peace, in that place. Again, there could be some situations that could be a little tricky. So you have to be very tactful, navigate through. We can talk by person, case by case, in that place. Okay, I'll answer the questions a little later. We'll come to something that's very, very important: purity. Purity is not merely avoiding one physical act. No, it is honoring God and the other person in thoughts, speech, touch, media, imagination, private messaging, and decisions. See, today, a lot of slips that begins to happen, so that's where purity comes from, that honoring that place of purity. And I've always said this, you keep yourself very pure and the other person keeps himself pure, then you're able to really give yourself fully in purity to the other person. Now, but as I'm saying this, in today's world, some young people say, Uncle, I've not kept myself really pure. I've not, in that place. So I would tell them saying, don't sit and beat yourself about it. Yes, you made a mistake, ask the Lord for forgiveness, but at least from that time, keep yourself pure as you prepare yourself. Don't beat yourself and say, no, I've not kept myself pure, it's not worked out, or things like that. Don't beat yourself. Don't beat yourself. Yes, there are places that didn't work out and you didn't keep yourself pure. That's okay. That's okay. But you now give yourself pure. Give yourself purely to how things begin to happen. Now, I'll give you three verses. 1 Thessalonians 4, 3 and 4. So God's will includes sanctification and sexual purity. I'm not going to do a whole study on it. 1 Corinthians 6 says, our bodies belong to God and are to honor Him, through our bodies, right? And that's where the purity is. So 2 Timothy 2 very clearly says, flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness. So today, don't play with youthful passions. Today, everything around you is tempting. Everything around you can instigate your lustful sexual desires. So just be very careful. Today, we are living in a very different world. Anything around you, can trigger things, right? Now, your boundaries. Avoid private, isolated settings that create predictable temptation. It's you who needs to avoid that. It's important that you begin to avoid that. Avoid private isolated setting that create predictable temptation. You know that you're not very strong at this. See, it's more not knowing about the other person, it's knowing about yourself. If you're weak, you would just say, hey, not everybody is weak in this area, but some people are. So if you're not, be careful about it. Decide curfews and transport arrangements in advance. Don't meet and then you talk about curfews or things like that. No, decide curfews. This is the time I can't meet you beyond this time. I can't pick up a call beyond this time. After this time, no, I will not be picking up a call. Set your boundaries. I'm telling you one thing very important. If you set your boundaries and put yourself of that value, the other person will grow to respect you because of who you are, will grow to respect you of who you are, because you're not very cheap to get. You're not a low hanging fruit to get it. That's why many times I would always say this, let you, a girl or a boy, be right on the top of the tree. Let the other person work hard to get you. Don't be fallen on the ground that anybody can easily pick it up. No, let them work hard to get you. I love the way Sylvia
She
expresses
responds
responds
very
very well. She's like, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Avoid sleeping over, sharing beds, or situations that blur commitments and boundaries. Just be careful. In today's world, it just say, Uncle, there's nothing. It's not a big thing about it. What's a big thing about it? I see so many situations. And I counsel again and again how many times the slips have happened. How many times? Just one touch, the one rub, one situation. I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes, it is difficult, right? You want to be very careful about that. Be accountable to a same sex mentor or a mature couple. If you're a girl, find a lady as a mentor, that you're accountable to. If you're a boy, find a man as a mentor or a mature couple, connect with a couple, with somebody whom you're accountable to. Have transparency about online communication, pornography, and media consumption. Be transparent, and these are things that I don't listen to. Something that I keep telling my children, I said, please don't listen to some of those secular songs, some of those songs with all those F words and A words and things like that. Be very careful, because that's going to corrupt your mind. And what you feed is what is going to come out. What you feed is what's going to be in that place. So be careful on what you listen to, you know, on how you begin to, see things, right? Your boundaries, we are still in your boundaries. Avoid erotic messaging, sexual video calls, or content that turns the other person into an object. See, that's the point. When you get into that place of, sexuality, video calls, and, things like that, you're turning the other person into an object and you into an object. No, God's not interested in the object. God doesn't want us to be reduced. The enemy, the devil, wants us to be reduced to an object. No, God wants us to be seen as a prince and a princess, a king and a queen. So our level is on a very different place, right? So avoid. Do not use engagement as permission to act as though already married. No. Engagement, yes, it's a one step, where you're able to talk, okay, you both are going to get married, but don't break some of those boundaries before you get married. Wait for the right time. See, inside marriage, certain things to be enjoyed will have full fulfillment of it, not before marriage or beyond marriage, right? I've made that statement. Just be careful about it. If boundaries have been crossed, respond with truth, repentance, accountability, and practical change, not shame or secrecy. If boundaries have been crossed, yes, we made mistakes. Yes, hey, let's respond with truth. Let's repent. Hey, this is not right. Let's just walk in a place of accountability, practical change. Hey, this is a practical thing. Last time it didn't go very well. I think we have to be careful. I don't think we should do this. I don't think we should be able to do this. Sometimes what happens, I've seen this in scenarios where the guy or the girl just says, no, you don't love me anymore. If you really love me, you will give everything. You will not say things like this. You want to, that's a red flag. Why somebody is very interested in you being an object rather than you being that person and honoring that person, respecting that person. Yes, I respect your boundary. Yes, I honor you. Why are they not looking at honoring you? Not shame or secrecy, right? Now, purity is not rejection of love. It's actually protection of love. It's not rejection of love. If you're actually looking at purity, keeping yourself pure in relationship and all of that, it's actually a protection of love, on how you're beginning to do. So couples should prioritize communication, conflict management, commitment, mutual respect, financial discussions. Now, a practical financial hurdle can help differentiate between everyday irritation and scheduled conversations about debt, savings, need, and future aspirations. So we'll go into a place of conflict because purity is one angle of it, and the other angle of it is how do you deal with conflicts? Because in the place of purity, always there's a place of conflict. And in the place of conflict may not be the place of purity, but in the place of purity, always the place of conflict. We'll talk a little bit about conflict. Anything you want to add in the place of purity?
Good.
Yeah. Communication and conflict before marriage. We'll talk about that. Before marriage, conflict is not a proof the relationship has failed. No conflict is not a proof that relationship has succeeded. Both the other angles of it. If there is conflict, it's not a proof that relationship has failed. If you're not having any conflict, it doesn't mean the relationship has succeeded. No. The issue is how people handle disagreement. It all boils down to disagreement. I disagree sometimes with you. It all boils down to disagreement, right? Now, look at this very important statement here. Follow the pause model. If you're in a place of conflict before marriage, you are going to get married or things like that, you're having conflict. What's the pause model? The pause model is very simple. PAUSE. P, pray before reacting. Ask God for humility, truth, and self-control. Pause. The second one, acknowledge the issue. Don't deny, mock, minimize, or change the subject. Some people are very good in changing the subject when there is a conflict. So don't acknowledge the issue. Do not deny, mock, minimize, or change the subject. You use the I statement, saying, I felt hurt, when rather than you hurt me. Or you always talk like this. Or you always do this. No, it's the I statement, not the you statement. PAUS. Seek to understand. Listen before answering. Ask clarifying questions. Try to see it from the other person's perspective. Seek to understand. Honestly seek to understand. Hey, help me to understand this, please. I'm not able to understand how you are seeing it. Can you help me understand that? E, establish a next step. What's the next step? Apologize, forgive, make a plan, or revisit the issue if needed. Sometimes we bury some of those issues. Burying some of those issues is not going to work out. It's going to somewhere crop up. It's going to somewhere show its head. Somewhere it's going to come again. Somewhere it will rise up. It will keep on coming. So don't bury the issue. So this pause model is very, very good model. So PAUSE, when you're dealing with conflicts, pray before reacting, acknowledge the issue, use I statement, seek to understand, establish the next step.
Pause model also gives us encouragement. It encourages us. We are not shooting others or putting others down. It just helps us to manage our conflict well. Please understand, there are no relationship. This is marriage relationship we are talking. There are no relationship without conflict, because everywhere, if you are saying marriage relationship, both spouses come with a different ideas, different mindset, different culture, different thought process. Both are different, so we will have a conflict. But then when you are getting or ready for marriage, preparing for marriage, and you use this pause model, it will really help you. When we were preparing and I saw this the pause model, I was like, oh my gosh, nobody taught me this when I was about to get married. It would have saved us from lot of conflict, lot of dishum dashum. It would have saved us quite a bit. But please, my dear young people, use this for yourself and for your spouse. It will help you so that your conflict, it will not be in a place of breakup or in anger or in hurting others, but it will be in a place of where you build each other up.
I want to make a statement here. As Manju was sharing, I'm just reminded of this. If you're somebody who's going to marry from another culture, I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult. It's not easy. There's an extra pressure there. To marry somebody from another culture, it's very, very difficult. Why? The way they were raised up is very different. The way you were raised up is very different.
It's true.
Even in normal kind of situations, you will like, what? You eat like that? What? You use this one? It'll be very different. Right? It's a whole different thing altogether. She came all the way from North India, from Varanasi. She grew up in Varanasi. And when she came to Kerala, she looked at the rice and said, why are they giving tablets? Why are they not giving us rice? Because Kerala rice was very big, you know. So she was like, why are they giving tablets? Every day they're giving us tablets, why are they giving us tablets? So I'm telling you, simple things, it'll become very difficult. I'm not saying you should not marry from another culture. If God is leading you, yes, but you need to be ready that if you're marrying somebody from another culture, it's going to be extra challenging. It's going to be extra challenging. But we have not killed each other, so there is hope. Don't worry about it. So it can, but it will be extra challenging, right? Healing from past baggage. Don't walk into marriage with baggages. Be very careful about it, right? Previous relationship or breakups. I've seen so many times in my counsel, in my counseling, I've seen the person would always say this, but my ex was never like that. He would always behave like this. He would always, I said, Arey yaar, ex is ex, gone, gone, gone. He's gone. Don't see this person through that lens. Be very careful about that. Don't get into that place of baggage. There were good things about him. There were wrong things about him, and that's why you broke up. Right now, this person also is not a perfect person. There are good things that there are there, and there are other things. But don't see this person with the previous person's lens. No, you want to be very careful about that, right? Previous relationship breakups, rejection, betrayal, sexual sin, pornography, or shame. There are some things that has happened. Learn to deal with that. Before you Get into that place. Don't try to say, okay, inside. Sometimes people say this, which I've done a lot of study, I've read through some things. Inside marriage, everything will be okay. No. You may have to a certain extent, acknowledge and at least sincerely repent and come to that place of dealing with it, rather getting into marriage without dealing with some of those baggages. Those baggages can become dangerous. Family conflict, parental divorce, abandonment, or childhood wounds. These are some of the things that can create past baggages. We both come from a very traumatic backgrounds. Both come from very traumatic backgrounds. I was abused. I went through very difficult times. She was abused. She was gone through very difficult times. So our first year of marriage was horrible. We had so many triggers. So many triggers. There are days she was going to commit suicide. Other days I was going to commit suicide. There are days where we were wanting to really beat up each other. It was very bad. I'm sorry for sharing it very openly, but that's how it was. It was very bad. You know, uh, so there was a time where she was pregnant with our first child. I drew the bike in such a way that she would fall and she would die. She was pregnant. You know, I went to that extent. I was very because I didn't realize that inside marriage it would trigger so much, and there was so much of triggering that began to happen. So if you come from a family conflict kind of a background, parental divorce or abandonment, or you still carry some of the childhood wounds, and ask the Lord, Lord, prepare me. Talk to a counselor, talk to somebody, talk to a couple. We had to sit with some couples, in our first year of marriage. And we talked with them, and they begin to, really tell us, saying, "Hey, deal with this carefully, deal with that carefully." Begin to really. There was I still remember one lady from New Zealand who had come. They prayed over us, and they said, "Hey, be careful about how you go about, how you think, because we can start carrying some of those baggages. Deal with some of those baggages. At least you being aware of some of those baggages is half problem solved. The problem is some people don't even know that they're carrying baggages. They don't even know. They don't even know that they're carrying baggages. So at least you being aware of some of those baggages have problem solved. Trauma, abuse, grief, anxiety, depression, addiction, fear of intimacy. Some people who have gone through rape, some sexual abuse, and things like that, there's a fear of intimacy that begins to happen. She went through something like that. And for the first year, I had to be very careful with her because I didn't want to push her into the place of intimacy. I gave her some place of growing up, but she also worked, and I was also working. We very carefully we walked in that place. I'm sharing very openly. It was very difficult because for her hurt was there in that sexual place. So she was not even willing. Then we lost children, and we lost two babies. Yeah, two babies we had lost. And so it became a difficult journey of things like that. Then at 45 she gave birth to another little one, Joshua. So when Joshua was born, something that she said was, "This is my healing child." At the age of 45, she gave birth to a normal delivery. In that place. So please understand, we are a witness of God can heal. God heals, and He's still on the throne.
Yes.
He's sovereign. I want to say that very strongly. Don't ever brand yourself or label yourself based on your past experiences. No, your past experiences don't define you. Your failures don't define you. Your mistakes don't define you. Somebody else violating you doesn't define you. Doesn't define you. So be very careful on how you see yourself. You have to be very careful on how you begin to work it. Unhealthy beliefs such as "I am unlovable," and all men, are all men or all women are unsafe, or "marriage will fix my pain." Oh, that's a very bad baggage to carry and come. Marriage will not fix your pain. Marriage will trigger your pain. So you have to be ready. And that unhealthy belief, "I'm unlovable," nobody can love me. There's nothing good in me to love me. You may have to deal with some of these baggages. Please understand, inside marriage, it becomes very, very difficult, how you begin to do it. Want to make a statement in there? What are some of the healthy steps towards healing? The first thing I would say is name the wound honestly. Stop pretending the pain does not affect you. Name it honestly and go before the Lord and say, Lord, this is what I'm struggling from. This is what I'm struggling from. Name it honestly. The Lord will help you. The Lord will help you, you know. So come to that place. The second is grieve what was lost. Healing includes a lament, not denial. That's why you see Psalms after Psalms of the psalmist lamenting. He laments through and through and says, Lord, this is when the unrighteous are growing up, and this is what is happening, that's what is happening. But a godly lament. I'm doing my PhD right now. One of the subject they beautifully taught us about godly lament. What's a godly lament? Godly lament, you don't disqualify God, but rather you pour out of what you feel, what you're struggling. You can pour out, grieve what was lost. There's something that's seen, and ask the Lord to redeem that space and bring it to God. Prayer, scripture, worship, trusted Christian community matters, of what it is, and confess where needed. Take responsibility for personal sin without carrying responsibility for another person's abuse. Take responsibility. This is my problem. This is what it is. This is how it is, what it is. I think this is marriage kind of a place, and I will share this. So very young, I was addicted to pornography. And in my place that I was all alone, struggling, and things like that. I was addicted to pornography and things like that, and I fell several times, and the Lord slowly, slowly pulled me up. I think when people begin to come into my life to in proper friendships, relationships, that began to heal me, right? So what do I do? Even now at the age of 48, what do I do? Is that I walk in a place of accountability with her. My phone and her phone is synced. You call me, she will get it on her call history. You call her, I get it on my call history. I take a picture here, it comes on her gallery. She takes a picture, it comes on my gallery. You send me a text message, she gets a copy of it. Why do we walk in that place? We're working with young people, so we don't want any way that the enemy to disqualify us, right? So that's why we walk in that place where we can be transparent. I'm telling you today that kind of a transparency is not there. And we have gone to an extent which I think becomes sometimes very difficult. But her bank account has my OTP, my bank account has OTP, kind of a thing, and but then we know that what's happening. We walk in that place of transparency, walk in that place of how we begin to really go forward, right? So please understand this. See, forgive wisely. Forgiveness releases vengeance to God. It does not automatically restore trust, access, or safety. Forgiveness takes time. It takes time. Sometimes you may have to learn to forgive, and forgiveness is not a one time act. It starts with a one time act. But every time you're reminded of that person, you have to forgive that person. You have to forgive that person. Seek qualified help. A trauma informed Christian counselor can help someone process trauma, attachment patterns, compulsive behavior, grief, or persistent emotional distress, right? Of how things happen. Build new patterns, healthy boundaries, accountability, emotional regulation, truthful beliefs must replace old coping mechanisms, right? So these are some of the steps towards healing. I would just say one practical example that I would say is have some good friends, godly friends around you, and that godly friendship itself, which should be a mix of boys and girls, that itself can heal you. That's why community is very powerful. Community is very powerful. You don't isolate yourself. In isolation, you cannot heal. You can only heal in community. You can only heal with people around you, right? In that place of how it is, right? Before I go into breakups and wisdom and things like that, you want to add a little bit on the trauma and,
Yeah, um, we all should know this trauma can leave us scars on each one of our life, and trauma will bring pain time to time. As George Uncle said this, that we both have gone through trauma, and yes, we have walked in the healing journey. But to understand one thing is, God gives us the healing, but we as a people of God who have been hurt, we also need to take a step. If we are not taking those healthy steps and we are just sitting, oh, I am hurt, I am abused, nothing is going to happen. You understand? We need to take a step. If I take a step, of healthy relationship or my healing to take place, God is always there. So my one step equals to God's 10 step. He is a God, He comes down to us and gives us healing 10 times. If we take just a one step. So don't remain in the place where you are. Trauma that has happened to you, past baggages that you carry, you need to let go. And as you grow, as you walk this journey, there are moments that you will have triggered. There are moments that you will feel painful. I remember feeling the pain again after our older son was born, and he was 1 year. And my second 1.5 year, I was pregnant with second baby, and then this baby I had miscarriage with this baby, and then I had to go through the DNC process where doctor just scared George. She was doing the DNC. She just came out and said, George, what is this? She has a 98 or 99% chance of having cervical cancer, and the pusses are not new or just fresh. It is last maybe 20-30 years back. And those pusses were formed when I was sexually abused. You understand? So this came back again, the pain and the cry. And I didn't know what to do. I told the Lord, but one fine day, you have to keep moving. I remember with JD. JD was a toddler, went to church for a time of worship. George was not home, he was traveling. And I remember in the presence of the Lord, when the worship was happening, very strong feeling that God is making me new. Every part of me new. And I came back when George was back home. I said, I'm throwing all the tablets that was given to me. I want to trust the Lord for healing. And I did it. I threw it and I trusted. George stood with me in that trust, and we move on, and we are still moving on. See, the trauma will come back, taunt us or haunt us, but we need to be in a place of going before the Lord and asking the Lord, Lord, help me, and His help will come to all of us.
See, it's sometimes very difficult when you've gone through something, and sometimes some of those triggers begin to come. That's why you want to find the right person who will not just stand with you, that you can lean on that person. You can just put your antennas down and just rest on that person. You want to find somebody like that who can really just rest on that person. Let's talk a little bit about breakups, and we close. We only have 20 minutes more. Now, do not use a breakup to shame, expose, threaten, or seek revenge. So please understand, breakup hurts. There's a question that always comes in saying, Uncle, I broke up with this person, but can I be a friend with that person? Friend with my ex? I would always say, see, the dynamics has changed. You were in relationship. So because you were in relationship, you have some unsaid clues, unsaid signals. There are things that you might interpret, and it might interpret in a very different way. It's a whole different thing altogether, right? So it doesn't mean that you're going to just like that, going to walk away. No, there are, triggers that it would come. So the wise thing is not to have an ex as one of your best friend. Maybe as a casual friend. Yes, you're meeting, saying hi, bye, but you cannot be a best friend with an ex, because things will start slipping again. You want to be very careful. And breakup hurts. Please understand this. Any breakup, it hurts. Be honest and kind. Do not keep yourself emotionally attached through mixed signals. Sometimes people don't give the right signals, saying, hey, we are breaking up. It's almost like, yes, we are breaking up, but maybe no, maybe not. Don't give mixed signals. You're breaking up, break up. You want to stay, stay. Don't give mixed signals. You have to be very clear in how you begin to, talk and share, in that place. Yes. Avoid breakup and makeup cycles that repeatedly wound both people. I see that cycle so much. Breakup, makeup, 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 breakup, makeup. And I'm telling you, it's like a sellotape. You touch, take out. You stick, you take out. You stick, you take out. You stick, you take out. Now the sellotape is not sticking anymore. Today, there are a lot of young people who are not able to form attachments, who are not able to trust people because they made so much of breakup makeup cycles, in that place. So don't play around with your attachment. God can heal. Yes, God can heal. God heals, but don't play around with that makeup breakup places. Don't rush immediately into another relationship to numb loneliness. That's called rebound. That's the term that they use. It's called rebound. You come out from one breakup situation, somebody else comes and says, hey, I'm so sorry for what happened, then you rebound into another relationship. Be careful about that, because sometimes rebound will be more messy than your previous relationship. So don't get into that place of rebounds. Be careful about rebounds, in that place. Grieve, pray, reflect, seek counsel, and learn. What mistakes, maybe I should be careful. Remove unhealthy access where needed. Constant messaging, private calls, social media monitoring, late night emotional dependence. It's not going to help to completely break up. It's not going to help. Remove what needs to be removed. Block what needs to be blocked. If there has been abuse, coercion, stalking, threats, safety support, and things like that, be careful. Rather than attempting for a private closure meeting, have some trusted people to come into that closure meeting. Have some trusted friends come into a closure meeting. Don't do it secretly or privately. If there was some place of abuse, if there was a place of threat, if there was a place of some safety issue and things like that, don't try to do a private closure meeting. Have some friends come alongside with you, so it's out in the public. It's out in the public, so people are beginning to see things. I'll leave you with this Christ-centered vision for marriage. Christ at the center, that I've shared, that friendship and delight, not merely duty. That's what it is, friendship, and you delight yourself, mutual honor and sacrificial service. Start praying specifically, at the same time seek as well. Start praying specifically. I don't know how many of you have written down some of the things that you want to, see in your spouse. Write it down. Pray. I jokingly always share my story. In my diary, 92 points that I have written down of what I want to see in my wife. Thank God the diary got lost. She didn't see it. And I wrote a lot of different things. I wrote a lot of different things. This is what I want to see. This is what it is. But God gave me more. One of my things that I sang, because I'm a musician, I love singing and things like that. So I wanted somebody who will play guitar and sing with me, in two-part harmony. Maybe I'll sing soprano, she'll sing alto. Maybe she can sing soprano, I'll sing alto. Today she's not a singer, but God gave me a worshiper. She loves to worship. She loves worship. Sometimes when I take the guitar, we both sit together. She loves to worship. She enjoys worship. God gave something much better, from a place of how it is, right? So put down, see, please understand, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Many a times we take the second part, He will give the desires of your heart. No, the first part is more important. Delight yourself in the Lord, which means you spend time with the Lord, delight in Him, and then He will give you the desires of your heart. So you can share your desires, in the place. Faithfulness in thought, body, speech, and finances. Be faithful, on how you begin to, go into marriage. Hospitality, generosity, service to others. With your house going to be an open house? Healthy boundaries with parents, friends, work, phones, social media. I'm telling you, today a lot of marriages are breaking down over social media. A lot of marriages are breaking down over phone addictions. That he never spends time with me. He's always on the laptop. He's always on the phone. He comes back home. We are married, but he never spends time with me. Please understand, not just teenagers can get addicted, even adults can get addicted. Even adults can get addicted to the phones. And if we are not very careful, we will become phone dependent, and we will kind of, put it in that place of healthy relationship. United approach, to conflict, money, parenting, calling, a culture where apologies are normal, forgiveness is practiced, and truth is spoken in love. I think truth has to be spoken in love, something that you're able to just really share. I'll leave you with these statements. Don't rush into marriage because of age, loneliness, attraction, family pressure, or fear. Seek God, grow in character, receive counsel, honor purity, address your wounds, Choose a person whose life constantly points you towards Christ. Points you towards Christ. Choose a person who points you towards Christ. By God's grace, this is one of the prayer that you can do. I want my future marriage to be a home where Christ is honored. Both people are safe and valued. Truth is spoken graciously. Forgiveness is practiced, and our life serves God's purpose together. It's a very good statement. Put that very strongly and say, this is what I want to be. Now, I added this towards the end, from our life. I thought for us to, just share success and mistakes that has formed our marriage, as we openly share our ups and downs and things. I'll share two things, maybe after that, Manju can share. In the first year of the beginning of the marriage, I was very much caught up, for the Lord. And I pushed her so much. I pushed her so much. Jedi was 25 days old when I started traveling in trains, sleeping in the platforms. I said, no, no, no break. You just gave birth. I know 25 days, but we need to get out. So we were traveling in North India. We were going things. Today I look back and said, what a horrible guy I was. You know, I was so horrible. I thought it was passion for Christ, kind of a thing. But, and she kept on, she came, every fourth day we would be in a different bed. Every fifth day we'd be in a different station. We traveled, Then I said, no, that's not right. That's not right. The way I was pushing out, in that place of how it is, today I've gone to the other extreme. I don't push her at all, in that place, how and what and things like that. Another second mistake that I was making right in the beginning and things like that, that when she speaks back, I would never be quiet. I would always want to speak back. I would always want to say things. I would always want to, justify and things like that. Then I said, no, I think it's okay for me to be quiet. It's okay for me to be quiet. Sometimes it's okay. Let her share. I think I just need to be quiet. I mean, there are lots of different things, but there's two things. You want to share something?
We we had a lot of conflicts in the beginning of our marriage because we came from two different cultures. We grew up in very different settings, different language. So in that sense, there were a lot of conflict. But we both had sat and talked together that any conflict that will come to us, we will not sleep without resolving.
One day I went off to sleep very upset at 3 o'clock in the morning. She didn't sleep. She woke me up and said that was our rule. We should never go to sleep, after a conflict. And she woke me up and, we had to say sorry and things. I think 20 years we have kept that rule. Never after a
Yes.
fight go to sleep.
We don't turn our backs and sleep. We always, if there is a conflict, we resolve, we kind of sit together, we hug, we pray, and then we go to sleep.
Because the moment you, I'm sorry for jetting in, but moment you, go to sleep with that, hurt and things like that, you are giving the enemy a foothold. You give him an inch, he will take a foot. You give him a foot, he will take a yard. You give him a yard, he'll take the whole life. So don't give that place. Yeah.
And another thing was like whenever there was a conflict, it was very difficult for me to say sorry. And but my marriage is saved because he says sorry first. So it's just that one sorry from him, it melts me down. But then we are grateful to the Lord. We know that God has brought both of us together, and we need to live till the end, glorifying him and doing what he has called us.
Guys, that's a knack, okay? You have to say sorry first, the whole thing will melt, okay? Guys, listen, that's a knack, okay? And see, that was one rule. We never went to sleep. The second rule was we never bring the previous fight into this fight.
Yeah.
It's always that, right? And last time also, I said, no, last time fight was finished. This time, let's fight with this fight. What is this issue? Let's talk about it. I'm telling you, these two principles that one of the mentors had taught us has really helped us in our wedding, in our marriage. The previous fight don't come into this fight, on how we begin to really walk in.
Yes.
Any questions, just answer. I think I have only just another 10 minutes. Yeah, any questions? We can just finish it. We are so grateful that so many of you joined, and we're very, very grateful. I think we should do a follow-up series also. Okay, let me see some questions. If other person ticks all the boxes of what a godly spouse would be, you're at peace with the decision, but parents are not at
We
peace.
did already.
We
Yeah.
answered. We answered. Um, Why would someone get engaged and drag for a year, keeping all the urges at bay? Wouldn't it be wiser to get married as early as possible? Yes, absolutely. If you're having urges and things like that, you definitely have to, get married. That's why we always say it's unwise to keep that urges growing and flowing and controlling yourself and, things like that. No, I think it's good to get married. Good to get married in that place. Yeah. Um, I'm thinking from a Hindu background, I'm thinking not preparing for a cross-culture marriage now. Is my choice to marry someone from a different culture going to affect bringing my family to Christ? It's not going to affect that, but it depends on your posture. Somebody from a different background, you don't want to hurt your family, because they've raised you up and they love you and you love them. Just because you have accepted the Lord or you're coming to the Lord, it doesn't mean you have to hurt your parents. I think you need to be very careful. There's one person here in this call, still the parents have not accepted the Lord, but this person is very strongly in the Lord. There's something that he is doing is that he is very, very sensitive to the parents. I think you need to be very sensitive. You should not hurt them in any way. We should be very careful about it. It's not a religion change, it's a relationship change. You have made that relationship to Christ, but then you should be very, very careful that parents who love you, still love you, who have raised you up, they should not feel hurt. They should not feel hurt, right? um, how can you identify past baggage in ourselves? It's a very good question. Think about, I would call something as a baggage. Take my book. I don't know if you guys have got my book. It's called It's Possible, Dealing with Past Hurts and Present Baggages. I've written so many different things in that. Um, um, One of the things that I said, how to identify past baggages is if there is some kind of a reaction or some kind of a response or some kind of an overflow that is hurting others, that's beginning to hurt others. It's not healing others, it's hurting others. That might be a place of baggage. It might be a place of baggage because it's hurting others. Your response is hurting others. Your way of overflowing, you're leaking emotionally, it's hurting others. When you say one should be emotionally mature before marriage, what does that actually look like in everyday life? How do you know whether he or she is emotionally mature enough to marry? Very good question. I would just say age brings that maturity, but not for everyone. Just because somebody is about 27, 26, and things like that, automatically it's bring that maturity. Depends on how they handle their everyday situations, how they handle disappointments, how they handle discouragements, how they handle failures, how they handle setbacks, how they handle their own inner struggles, how they lead themselves. There are lots of different things that we can talk about. How they're able to manage their life in balance. That is how you begin to see they are mature emotionally, how they are able to balance it. Share some of your insights and experience in handling finances in marriage. Um,
Have one purse. Your finances, when you get married, it should be together. It should be one. And yes, we share with each other. It's not a control. We share with each other. If George uncle has to spend somewhere, George uncle, most of the time his expenses go on helping people. He is going on mission trip. He will bless some pastors and come, or he will buy something for the children at school where he's doing program. Those are most of the expense. And but he will never do it by himself, even though he has a right to do it. He will always say, can I do this? And it gives, please understand, if your spouse, you both each other together handle finance, saying, can we do this? It will help your marriage build together in success, in confidence, and same time finances, like you plan your finance, right? Okay, this much saving, it has to go. This much for the emergency, it has to go. This much for medical purpose, it has to go. Do it together. That will help in the marriage.
Yeah, sometimes I don't have time to even get her permission, but maybe after I spent it, I let
Yeah.
her know,
Yes.
that this is what it is, or things like that. It's just that the understanding, once you live long enough, then you begin to understand saying, okay, I'll not do anything ungodly, where the money is being thrown out, things like that. So that accountability, I think, is very, very, and planning your finances, what you can spend, what you cannot spend for. Now we don't have the money for it, so maybe we should not say. There are times where she would just say, no, we should not spend for that, or things like that. I sometimes don't agree, but then sometimes when she's strong, I would say, yeah, okay, we will not spend, in that place. Sometimes I would say, no, 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 it's not the right thing. We should not, spend money on that, sometimes she may not agree, but then because I'm strong, maybe she would say, yeah, what it is. How will you understand God's will in regard to a particular person? If she is the one specifically praying about, is it possible that one person gets a certain convictions first and it will work, and other person is still praying and trying to, seek His will? Yes, that's why I said there are three or four girls which I thought was God's will for me. I saw all green, green, green flags, but then there was one red flag, that didn't work out, things like that, So it's that place of being very close to the Lord and not rushing into any of the decisions. Don't emotionally get attached very soon, too fast, too soon. Protect yourself till things don't work out. Be in a place. Sometimes, you should have some good mentors. Sometimes if you're very close with your parents are one of your best friends. They know you, so they can tell you, what it is. Depends on your relationship with the parents again. Depends on how it is. So they can tell you, saying, hey, I think this is the right person. I feel peace about it. But sometimes your parents will say, no, I don't feel peace about it. Things like that. Sit and talk, things like that. So please understand, there's no one hard, fast rule saying by one magic card that I have and it glows purple and then I got this person. No, there's no magic card there. There's no one number that comes in 83. Oh, correct. If I get 83, that's the person. That's what it is. No, it's not what it is. It's how you begin to really take it forward, in the Lord. And through the journey, please understand, the Bible is so clear as saying, if you seek me, you will find me, you'll find me with all your heart. Call unto me and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things. So please understand, ask the Lord and He will show you. So your relationship with the Lord matters. The Lord will show you. It's like my child. My child is trying to get something, and I, as a father, what I do, I hide his prize here and there and enjoy him struggling to find that prize. And then he's about to find the price, I move the price, and then I enjoy. I'm a terrible father if I'm going to do that. If me as an earthly father would not do that to my son, how much more my heavenly father? He's more willing to show you what his will is, right? But the thing is that we need to spend time. Is it important for the spouse to acknowledge the trauma and share the burden? Is it important to make that person feel seen in that way? I'm not understanding that question. Is it important for a spouse to acknowledge the trauma and share the burden? Um,
uh, what I understand, I will just share. Is it important for a spouse to acknowledge the trauma and share the burden? Means I have gone through the trauma. Do you acknowledge and share my burden?
okay. I mean, that's definitely, I may not fully understand, but I have to at least sensitively pause, and try to understand. And now, please understand one thing. If you're wanting to share, some of your trauma and things like that, um, before marriage, it'll be good in some ways to let the other person know what you have gone through. Maybe not completely,
Mm.
but to some extent, that you at least let them know. And don't go into the details of it. You don't have to go into the details of it, but at least letting them know, I think is a very important thing, So I would just put it that way. Yeah. Love the session very much. Thank you. Okay. And today's online apps find spouse were Christian apps. How many dates does one need to go on before commitment? Sometimes there are really bad people on these Christian apps. That's what I would say, sweetheart. You don't go by apps, go by God. Spend time with Him. Spend time with Him and ask Him to see you. Ask Him to show you, because he knows you and things like that. I'm not saying you can't find the right person. I've seen people get married. Two of my children who were in my hostel when I was a warden, they didn't know that they were all very young at the time. They were in sixth standard, seventh standard. They didn't know they would know each other at all, but they both are now married. I met them in another country and I said, "Oh my goodness, you both." And they said, "Uncle, we didn't even know we were going to get married. We saw each other in a Christian app that we saw. So I've also heard stories of just
Yeah.
amazing ways where people have found. But again, see how God begins to lead. See how God begins to work things out. Having a checklist preference in choosing partner might delay. Does that mean we compromise our preferences? Rather, how would we look at this, Pastor? Having a checklist preferences, don't make a very strong checklist. That's why you're having a desire, but be open to the Lord. If you're having a very strong checklist and saying, okay, 92 got checked in, 8 did not check in, so I'm rejecting this person, it's not going to work out. You may have to be a little bit careful. Hold it with, open hands. Yes, Lord, this is my desire, but not holding very strongly to that checklist, things like that. Coming from a broken family, found a person who is also doing the same with you, and you're compromising. What should a person do in such a coming from a broken family, found a person who's also doing the same with you? Okay, maybe the same abuse
Yeah.
or things like that. What should do there's such a situation? You don't need to get into this relationship. Yeah, you know that this is a red flag. This is person doing the same thing. Get out, bail out. As quickly as possible, bail out. Um, yeah, yes, yes. Yeah, you guys can contact us. I'm just putting our numbers. That's our number. This is Manju Auntie's number. Uh, yeah, just feel free to contact us. I'm in college. Okay. Okay, this is what's the minimum amount of dates you think is necessary? I would not say minimum or maximum, it's not like this, like I've tried now 15 and then, okay, maybe the 16th one works out or 12th one works out. Um, Go by God's leading. Go by His leading. It doesn't have to be too many or it doesn't have to be too less. Again, I'm not God to tell you how many or, things like that. But then sometimes it might work in one. Sometimes it might work in after 4 or 5, or things like that, So you learn. That's why, see, for me, in my case, I only ended up having those 5 different people that I was thinking of and things because I didn't have anyone. I didn't have parents, I didn't have father, mother to help me out. I had to do it all by myself. I just had few mentors, but some of these mentors were like very good. They didn't want to hurt me, but they always said yes or, things like that, I wish I had some parents who could have got involved and seen things and, been in that place. We spoke a lot on premarital sex trauma pornography. Do we also agree that masturbation is sin? Yes, absolutely. Masturbation is sin because the thoughts that are there, the Bible is very clear. If you look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery, right? So again, for me, I've dealt with this sin of masturbation several years now. The issue is not the act. The issue is there's an emotional baggage there. There's an emotional deficiency. There's an emotional lack. That person has not got that love. That love should be got from a right place. That's why that person has gone into whatever it is, right? I'm in college and I think I can find a person only in college. I feel I won't find a person after I graduate. College is the best place, time to find my partner. How do I go about this? It depends on your thought process. See, you're already wearing a lens saying, I will not find anyone after I graduate. I don't know why you're thinking like that. God can bring anyone, in a place, however young you are, however old you are, So don't restrict God from your lens, in that place on how you begin to see things. not different people. Anna, with one person, what would you say is maximum time to be taken before taking things forward?
Just with
Yeah, I would say as long as it takes, depends on the person, right? For some people, it might just be 3 months, 6 months. For some people, it might be 2 years. For some people, they don't have so much time. They're much older. So you don't have so much time. So you may have to, spend time and just see it. So see how it, you can work it out. I can't put a time schedule and say this is the schedule. That's the schedule, right? How much openly you can share about past relationship with your spouse. That I think that's what I said. Not too much, too fast, too soon, but you need to at least let them know that there were some issues and things like that. Don't go into the details of it, but you have to share. It's good. It should not become a surprise inside marriage. It's good for you to share. That's one of the first things that she shared with me, and then I had to make a decision because of what has happened to her. How should a couple handle it when husband's calling requires significant time, travel, counseling, church responsibilities, or emotional availability to other people? Handle it when the husband's calling requires significant time, travel, counseling, church responsibilities, emotional. Yeah. I think this is a whole different thing altogether. This is my strong view. I would say first God, second comes family, third comes ministry. Today, a lot of people think first God, second ministry, then third family. No, first God, second is family, third is ministry. So I would, if I'm compromising with the family, I think that ministry, I'm dealing with right now so many children of pastors, so many children of missionaries who are hurt because the parents have not spent time with them. So I think we need to be very, very careful about that. So in that place, I think we've got all the thing. Oh, Dheeraj has some questions here. I think we've already arranged some of the being question. Should we look for someone? Yes. Um,
you already answered.
I think I've answered everything. Yeah. One person should emerge. Can you please share some insights, finances? I think, yeah. I think I saw it in the thing and I answered. I don't have it.
That one you need.
Okay, I don't have a desire of how my wedding should be or conducted like others have. Should I necessarily have any desires or wishes for my wedding? Uh,
It's okay if you don't
if
have,
you don't have
but
it,
when you find your person, both of you together can put down
yeah,
things.
you're going to get married once in a lifetime. You're not going to get married again and again. So it'll be good to have some desires and say, this is how I want, this is what I would like to do, things like that, So I mean, I had a desire that she would wear kagra, on the reception. So she wore a kagra, and I was wearing a
Sherwani.
sherwani. Yeah, I was wearing a sherwani. Yeah. So that was a desire, So we did that, in that place of how it is. So depends on you, but you're going to get married only once. So make that memorable, something you can tell your children. See,
Yeah.
always think about that. You're going to become an example for your children and think on a long term, the legacy that you're going to have. Um, I met a girl at a public program. I think she could be a potential partner. I've connected with her and asked for friendly meet. Her parents have high restrictions. So it's either cross the bridge or meet as a proposal. But without meeting, not sure it would should be asked how to handle this. Again, I said this, right? So circumstances, the three things that I said, the word of God, peace, and circumstances. This is circumstances. If it's God's will, God will open up circumstances for you to meet, on how it will work out, things like that. So God will work out, on how it is. So you be in that place. Don't try to push it too much, if it's not working out. And don't sit and say, okay, this is exactly the person that I want to marry. Just keep it light. Any guidance on how we can keep ourselves from emotional attachments? Uh, don't spend too much time, too soon, too fast. That's a principle. And emotional attachment is, you're beginning to, you're emotionally leaking and beginning to, make the other person also leak emotionally. And you're beginning to, connect without having a clear signal of, okay, this is where we are moving in, So you want to be a little careful about it. What's it mean?
Done. That also done.
It's done. Is that the other thing done? Okay. When one person's calling be erased, then come together as a couple and get fresh callings? No. It's see, please understand, many a times the concept is this. I've even taught that for many years, but I don't believe that now. That you bring 50% and that person brings 50%, then you make 100%. No. Today is you bring your 100%, that person brings an 100%, and God crafts a lovely purpose with that both 100%. That's where the place of compatibility is very important. Compatibility means you're somehow in the same field. See, if she was a software engineer and I am in ministry, I think our compatibility will not be very great. Because she was in ministry and I'm in ministry, of course, she was in a different kind of a ministry. I was in a different kind of a ministry, but at least we were able to come together and bond because we were in ministry in a similar place, right? So that compatibility issue have to be sorted out. So that's something that you have to check when you're going to get married and things like that. That compatibility issue, it's almost in a similar place. Suppose you are so strongly in the software work and things like that, you marry somebody else from another total different field and things like that, there'll be a lots of ifs and buts and cracks and kicks and all that will happen inside marriage. So you want to be very careful about it, right? So you don't have to erase. Do we consider widowed people, divorced people? Yes. If the
Yeah.
Lord leads you, yes, absolutely. If the Lord leads you. But please understand, there are some baggages there. Understand, there could be certain baggages. There could be certain things that they are carrying. So be very careful when you walk into some of those places. Again, go by the Lord's leading.
It has to be the Lord. You will not be able to carry their baggages. So it has to be the Lord in that marriage when you see some widow or divorced person. But it's okay to walk in.
Yeah. I think we will just close. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll just pray, and I just want to pray for all of you as we close. And please, send a message. We put both our numbers, and we will keep doing something. We are looking at every month doing something for different groups. And we'll also think of something. If there is a topic that you want us to talk about, or things like that, please let us know. Put your feedbacks. They will send you a feedback form. You guys can fill up the feedback form. If you're part of that group, they'll send a feedback form and you guys can do it. Let's just quickly pray. Yeah, Father, I just want to pray for all of these amazing people, young people who attended. I pray that you would help them and guide them, Lord. I don't know where they are. I don't know what they are thinking, and I know how tensed it can be sometimes at this age where somebody is closer to marriage or thinking about marriage. Maybe some of them are not even thinking about marriage, but some of them are in that place, and how tensed it can be, how it can be very critical, Lord, and sometimes self doubts, and sometimes that struggles whether I'm doing right or wrong, or is this right or is this wrong. Lord, I pray that you will bring such clarity. I pray for that spirit of clarity to be there, Lord, that they would be very clear in knowing what path they need to take. I always hold on to that verse. You will hear a voice from behind. This is the way, walk in it, whether you turn to the left or to the right. Lord, I pray that verse over every one of these young people, Lord, that they will hear a voice from behind. They will hear that clear leading of the Lord, and help them to meet with you, Lord. Help them, bless them, Father. Lord, I know some of them maybe sitting here and thinking that I've made some mistakes. Maybe some of them sitting here and thinking, saying, maybe I should have done this, I should have done that. Maybe for some of them, it could have triggered something else. Whatever is that trigger, whatever is that place that they are thinking back, Lord, I pray that you would help. I pray that you would guide, Lord, and you will bless, Father, Lord. Lord, you are the Lord, and there's none like you. Help us, Father. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Send your feedbacks. They will send you a feedback form in the group. Yeah.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you
Yeah,
guys.
all of you. And all of you keeping your cameras on. Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace, all the way from Ooty. And Sylvia, loved your expressions.
Thank you, Varsha. Thank you.
And Varsha, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
Arun, thank you, Arun.
Arun, thank you, Arun. I know Idlin is the one who asked you to come. Thank you so much. Yeah. God bless you. God bless you. Yeah. Anusha,
Yeah,
thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Yeah, you guys go. We'll say bye-bye to everyone. Yeah.
We will meet you again.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure, sure, sure. Sudarshan, thank you. Sudarshan, all the way from Dubai. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, CK. I love that. Yeah, we'll be praying for you. Praying for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Darshan. Thank you, Samson. Thank you, Mega, Muthu. There are a lot of people. Paul, Swapnil, Jagrati, Sneha from Ludhiana. Oh, Sneha, thank you. Nice to see you. Sheba, yeah. Puneet, Johnny, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Julie, thank you. Balaji. Balaji, thank you, Balaji from Meghalaya. நல்லா இருக்கீங்களப்பா? Doing well. Okay, great, great, great. Mm, blessings, blessings. Yeah. CK will be praying for you. Yeah.
CK.
She has said,
Okay, okay.
hi, Divya. Thank you, Divya.